Well, the numbers.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing, and and I don't know if that is. It's definitely not in any way any one person's fault or any one thing. I feel as though the popularity of canoeing is just not what it was 60 years ago. We have all these electronics, phones, so getting your kid out and getting them into a canoe is just so much harder than it was 20 years ago. So I think that is a direct contributor to the numbers being where they are. And I really feel like we need you to get up off the couch and just go out just for the fun of it. Because the more people we have out there who have absolutely no clue, the harder it is for some guy out of New York to come down, weave his way through the crowd, and take our money. So we need you to get up off the couch and go race just for the fun of it. Because quite frankly, we need everybody of every different level, and that's the fun, that's the chaos. The people who have no clue and somehow do that 360 in front of the bridge, which I did my first year, and you get T-boned and you make it really hard for everybody, not on purpose, just because I'm an idiot, and that is what makes it fun. That's part of the challenge. Another thing that I think I've never seen anywhere else is the numbers drawing, with the exception of the ensemble, where guys have to sprint to win a bracket position and then they have to run for their start. I don't know of anywhere you pick, you get your position by lottery and everybody goes on a cannon. And a lot of races, race directors and organizers work really hard to make sure that nobody falls in. So they'll send them off in groups, all the two-person boats, then all the solos, and then maybe some of this type. And if you have kids, maybe you'll hold them all till later, and you do absolutely everything you can to keep everybody in their boat and dry and happy. However, on the riverette race, the more people that fall out, the better show we get. These are all some of my numbers. I've lost one or two over the years. I'd say that some of those are a source of contention over the years. I've had some people that really dislike me because I've had luck with numbers. And me and Bill used to joke about this all the time when we'd go out and practice. We'd get back up to the Athol end, and he would often tell me, like, you got to go up around the corner. You got to know what that's like, because you could draw number 300. And I used to always joke, like, I don't like paddling past number 25. And sure enough, in many years, I've gotten really low numbers. It's not up there, but I've had number 22 twice. I've had number 20, number 13, number 23. I think my highest number is 146. So I've had luck over the years with numbers, which makes up for the fact that I'm a very mediocre paddler. I make them much better than I paddle them. In the front, I'm sure you can't see it with the camera, but we'll put in a little foot brace, which is the same. So it gives your front paddler something to push against so they can lock themselves in. With most teams, they're going to push their front paddler as far forward as they can, and then their rear paddler will set themselves wherever the boat is level or trim. This boat does not have a bailer in it, but that one does. And this is pretty standard on most racing boats. When they start filling up with too much water, they become heavier and harder to control. So they put in bailers so that if they're going fast enough, it sucks out all the water. When the water's out, they push this forward, it closes it, and they keep going. Mr. Bill would call them crash blocks. I think some of the ancient canoe builders called them sabots. But basically, when the boat is made, we put a huge block into it. We build the block in, and then shave out anything we don't need, because it's so much easier to shave a big block and put an edge on it than it is to form every piece all the way down. It's also amazingly strong, so if you happen to hit it, it distributes the impact through several strips instead of just one. I have crashed into some very big objects in the river and not broken this boat. I'm actually quite surprised sometimes that it's not sustained any damage on a few of the hits that it's had. I intentionally tried to build this boat heavy. And even at the time when I was talking to Bill, most of the people I know build boats with 4-ounce cloth, but because I wanted it to be strong, I used a 10-ounce cloth that was so heavy that if you notice, every other canoe around has 5 of these bars we call thwarts, and they're still a bit flimsy. This boat has none of them, and it's still super stiff. And that was just a result of me trying to build it heavy. So where if you look at just about every other boat that will come down the river on race day, they'll have 5 of these bars, and this was so stiff that it didn't need any. These on the end are really just cosmetic. That center board does really, I believe, also add to its stiffness. But I believe this boat is amazingly stiff because of the heavy cloth I used on it. I wouldn't say this is anywhere near the worst, but this boat over here is a kind of a clear example of some things I get. If you look in, this was another dealer's demo boat. Do you see the cracks? Yeah. It starts up here, it goes that way, down here. This was another dealer's demo boat, and they left it outside on a rack in Maine and got a winter storm. So after the rack collapsed, it caved in here. So it was broken here, there, and there, pretty much right through.
So not even a boating related accident?
No. I would say I feel like 75% of my repairs to boats, the really gnarly ones, happen on the roof of a car. They hit garage doors. People over tighten with straps and crush them. This one was crushed by a boat rack. I would say the worst ever, he's also a River Rat regular, Jeff DeFeo had a Racing C1 on the back of his truck, and I guess, as the story I got, a trailer tried to go around his truck and clip the back of it. So it was kind of, the back was broken off, and it was a lot of repairs, but it's out there racing somewhere. So if you notice, there's nothing in this because everybody who comes in here and is allowed in that office knows better. I don't know the full history behind some of this stuff, but I suggest you reach out to Nick Lysick. He could give it to you better. But once upon a time, when they won the River Rat race, this is what they got. In 1969, Sonny Susie won this. A couple years after I took this place over, one of his family members brought it down here and told me that they feel like it belongs here, and so it's sat on that windowsill for the last couple of years. But the story I've been given, and once again, I don't know how factual this is, but the guys who won these could pretty much drop it on the bar in any place on South Street and it would get filled for free. Maybe true, maybe not. Maybe part of the lore. Who knows? But yeah, feel free. It's one of those, like, with many things in here, I don't really see it as mine. I think it belongs to the community, and it's here as long as I'm here. And if I gotta go, we'll send it up to the Historical Society. There's a few things here that would probably end up there. Some of the bottles we pulled out of the river during river cleanups and stuff are really cool. There's a few at my house that are really, really cool. And it was actually Bill Ellsworth who pointed out to me, like, puddle marks on some of the bottles we pulled out. He was like, taught me how they were made after we pulled them out. And I have one that's a Hires extract or something, and I didn't know what it was. And I was like telling Bill, he's like, it's SodaStream. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it's SodaStream for old guys. Way back when, we just buy the extract and mix it with soda water. And like, even then, he's like, it's really not a new idea. They're just repackaging it. So it was cool to learn. For many families in this town, it's the biggest holiday of the year. whether they race or they just come out to enjoy the entertainment, whether it's the carnival, the seeing family. There are a lot of fun, really positive interactions with family barbecues that get together. Like I've said it a million times, the Friday before Riverette is when I see everyone I haven't seen since high school. So there are a lot of amazing, positive social aspects to it. And it's not all negative. A lot of people think of it as just a party, but you know what? I know a lot of really good, solid, wholesome canoe racing families who bring their entire family out to enjoy the weekend. It does contribute to many of our local businesses. It's not the case anymore, but I know when Mike's place was still doing well, and this is way back when Mike was still alive and his wife Bev was around, I remember her telling me that what they made on Riverette Day sustained them for 3 months. That's probably not the case in every business, but in a small town that doesn't have a lot going on, it's good to know that we can pull people in from upstate New York, from Canada, and they're going to come in, they're going to fill their gas tanks, they're going to fill their bellies, they're going to buy a souvenir or two if they can find them. They do contribute immensely to our local economy. I can say with absolute certainty that I wouldn't be here without the Riverette race. Even if a lot of those people don't walk through my door, I don't think this boathouse would exist without the race. I don't think people would see this river as a viable recreational option without that race, especially people of my generation and older, because when I was young, this river had a very negative perception. And I think perception really is the word, because it was when I was a teenager that they were certifying it as a swimmable river and really starting to utilize it. And
Negative perception being.
well, the negative, exactly, the pollution. And, you know, even in 2016, when they drained the river for the cleanup, we pulled massive amounts of trash out. And that was well after it had been a certified swimmable river. And it's just the way it was back in the day. When people were done with stuff, they threw it in the river and thought nature took care of it, but it really didn't. You know, we pulled bicycles out, printing presses from New Home Sewing Machine came out of that river. A whole lot of radios that looked a lot like fire equipment from right over there. I don't know who threw them there, but I think that's just what they did, you know. Then again, perhaps that's just what they knew, because if you think about it historically, those are the same times when they told people to get rid of your motor oil, dig a 2-foot hole in your backyard and pour it in there. So can't necessarily knock them for doing that, and I'll just say maybe they didn't know any better. But even, like I said, in 2016, we pulled massive amounts of trash out of there. And what I will say is, even the past 6 years since I've been there, the color of this river has gone from brown to slowly clearer, slowly clearer, slowly clearer. And now, on an August day, when I go out on that dock, I can usually see the bottom. And the thought of doing that when I was a child just wasn't there. So amazing things are happening if we can be patient. The tenant who was in the boathouse before me was asked to leave by the town of Orange. And I don't really know the full history on that. There's multiples. But Lori Neely, who was a former Orange resident, amazing lady, basically pushed me for a couple months. Like, you're gonna do this. You're gonna put in that proposal. Like, I'll help you. So yeah, with the urging of her and a few other people, I put in the proposal. Sometimes I love it. Sometimes otherwise. It's an interesting trade-off, because at first I thought it would be great because I'll just repair boats while people are out renting, and it worked perfectly like that for the first couple of years. But then reality comes around, and rentals don't do as much as we all hope they do and we wish they would. So the retail had to be the savior. At the same time, the retail of newer boats in there pushed the repairs out. So there's a constant struggle as to which side of, you know, the business gets to survive today. And I think we've kind of got a decent situation now where I do most of the building and repairs here. I do the retail and stuff there, and I pull out some small repairs there. But right now we're trying to figure out how to solve the lack of space issue. But yeah, I've been there now. This will be our 7th season we're about to start. And we really have no expectations. It's challenging and interesting and weird. So we found when we go into it with less expectations, we're less disappointed. And it's easy that way.
Hard way to run a business, though.
I wish we did it for money, but we don't. We do it because we like it. We're somehow able to repair enough paddles and boats to pay for what we do over in Orange. And I think it's worthwhile to make that investment to the community. Aren't too much bigger than this shop. A lot of them are producing a few boats at a time, and they're amazing boats. Like the big, huge manufacturers, like Old Town, like it's a huge warehouse factory. It's nothing impressive, but I think the guys who are making truly quality boats are mostly like 1 and 2 man shops. We basically put down, start with the center and work our way out, but you put down every strip and you staple it and glue it, and when it's done you remove all the staples. As far as shaping goes, like I was saying, there are a lot of ways to cheat and do it faster, but you kind of have to guess and just shape your piece just like this. It takes forever, and you'll get your piece down to where you want it, and you kind of try it in, and if it's not right, you take off a little bit more in one spot. And, I feel like I've kind of gotten good at it, and they go kind of quick.
So the whole thing's put together with staples first? Or?
Glue and staples.
Yeah.
So as you put it down, and it's kind of a messy process, after you get the piece shaped, so imagine this piece is shaped and ready to go. If it's going to slide in here, I would then put glue all the way down one side. If it's not going to touch on the top, I wouldn't bother. Or if it were going to slide into something like that, I would glue the top and the bottom and then get it in. And I'd also staple it down. Which sounds so much easier than it really is. Once you get it down, often you have to clamp it, staple it, swear at it, all kinds of things. But you got to do whatever it takes to get it to lay down and stay down. And if it doesn't, you end up having to cut it out.
So how long does it take each one of these wood pieces to dry?
45 minutes.
Oh, okay. Not days.
Roughly 45 minutes at the minimum. Sometimes, like I know for like these ones here, they did not want to bend. So I used thinner wood because the thinner wood will bend easier. And after I stapled it down, I put straps over the boat and I would strap it down so that it had no choice but to be there. I then have to shape it. And this takes forever. But basically, a long straight block. And you work it down. This boat right now, I want to say, is about 2/3 of the way sanded. Where I had built it facing the other way around, the boat was basically 180 degrees. That's the back, that's the front. I wanted it to be shaped from the front back, so I actually kind of stopped after getting a little bit of sanding going. I waited till I had a nice warm day and I turned it around. I'm still working on shaping it, and right now it's at a spot where if I use this as a little bit of a cheater, I'm a little bit high here, so I can use anything with a straight edge to give me a hint on where I need to go. I still need to come down a little bit here, and I want this to come to a straight line. Once this is fully straight, and it's really not too far out, I will then measure from this block 3/8 of an inch under a foot. Right now it's about a 1/4 inch long still. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm still shaping. I need to continue making this straight. Once I'm confident that this is straight, I will put a square onto this and make sure that this is 11 and an eighth, I think. No, 11 and 5/8. 11 and 5/8 from there, because thanks to Mr. Bill, I know that the material I use to make a point will be 3/8 of an inch wide. So yeah, that will get cut. And then we actually form the end with a Bondo or a body filler type of stuff. And it becomes the straight point. After the wood's made, we put fiberglass over the entire boat and mix it with epoxy. Adam Jelinas, who's won the last 2 years, his boat is made out of carbon. But he did it slightly different than a lot of people. He made a wooden boat, and then he laid carbon over it, and used the wooden boat as the mold. And then some friends tell me he burnt it after.
Oh, wow. That probably hurts your soul.
Well, if you don't want people copying your boat, that's the only way to do it.
Are people that protective of their boat designs in this industry? Right.
Well, are we on the record here?
Not everybody's sharing the
But you don't seem to be. You're helping this guy from Belgium. Maybe.
Yeah. I don't care. I don't care. Boats are meant to be made. My opinion on some of the design. I mean, Mr. Bill, he's come and gone, and I think his designs are here, and I think he wants people to paddle them. I think they're amazing boats. There is a lot of protectiveness over designs, especially rat boat designs. The boat that the good ones have is, I call that design the F-150, because when I asked Mr. Bill where it came from, he told me it fell off a truck. Later on in life, I believe that is based off the same templates as Adams. I think they copied the same boat from Nick Lysick. And I think Mr. Bill and Nick have never been happy with each other. And I think that boat may be part of it. But Nick let Adam copy his with the agreement that that would be the only boat. So to honor that, the only way to do it is to burn it. There's been a few templates burned that I know of because people didn't want them copied. This design, when Bill was alive, I was not allowed to build it. I asked, and a couple days later he said, well, I talked to the guys. I'm not sure who the guys were, to be honest. He said I talked to the guys, and the guy said, no, you can't build this boat. I wasn't allowed to build it till I inherited it.
Wow.
It is a really amazing lineage, what you're
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
He also had a C1 that was pretty much his, very much his life's work. And I inherited the mold, the plug, the templates, and I actually have an arrangement with a gentleman in upstate New York who's working to manufacture the boats, and hopefully we'll be able to sell Bill's boats at the boathouse. That's kind of my hope, is that Dylan can make some boats and that we can sell Bill's design. But if Dylan doesn't, I will.
Are you teaching other people to build boats too?
I'd love to. Anybody comes along. I actually have in the boathouse. I have one boat that I saw sold listed as an unfinished project online. And when I went to look at it, it was not as close as I thought, but it was so far along that I basically told the gentleman, I was like, I could give you the $500 you want for this project, or you could just bring it down to the boathouse and come down when you can and we'll finish it. And we actually took his boat that he had started 25 years earlier, and he gave up on. He brought it to the boathouse in the middle of the winter, and it sat for a couple months. And when spring came, he showed up, and he came every Friday, just about every Friday throughout the summer. And before the summer was over, we paddled his boat, and it's been off in the world. And so whenever I get the chance to share it with somebody, I'm happy to. I've had people find me online. I can't remember the name of the gentleman, but there's a Francis Sonnen. I think he's in Belgium, but he had found through other paddlers pictures of one of my boats, and he said something like, "There's a C1 behind it. Like, can I get the plans for that?" And I ended up trying to send him plans. They never made it there, and he found plans elsewhere. But I feel like for about 3 months, I would wake up every morning and there's a few questions from him, like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And, or what's your opinion on this? And what's your opinion on that? And I didn't think too much of it. I just kind of answered his questions and then went back to my day. And, after about a month or two of that, he had made an amazing boat and raced it in some race over in Europe that's like a couple 100 miles, and credited me for like being a mentor. So there's people that find me, and I'm happy to share the information with them. Very often I have people call me with, can you fix this? And, well, yes, but you're gonna have to wait a long time. But you could just do this. And if I can, I'll give them the basic instructions, because if they wait for me, they're going to wait a while, unfortunately. I'm busy. I'm a dad, and trying to keep up with everybody's emails and phone calls. And it's just tough.